Hello, people. How's it going? Oh, I got a haircut. I don't make any claims that I'm an expert on Robert E. Howard. That would be certain Michael K. Vaughn on his YouTube channel. Because he knows the guy because he's his favorite writer. But I am trying to redo the original. I did this once before. I didn't like it, but I'm redoing it again. This is a very good biography. Excellent biography. Yes. But I don't make any claims that I'm an expert on Robert E. Howard. I don't claim to know a whole lot other than he wrote Conan, he created Solomon Kane, he wrote some boxing stories. He died young. He died young. Anyway, I'm going to read some odds and ends as I can. Robert Irvin Howard, January 22nd, 1906. This is why I'm doing this today, because this would be his 119th birthday. June 11th, 1936, when he died, was an American writer who wrote pulp fiction in a diverse range of genres. He created the character Conan the Barbarian, and is regarded as the father of sword and sorcery subgenre. Well, I can see that. I mean, Tolkien really wasn't sword and sorcery. It was wizards, true, but it wasn't sword and sorcery, and it was a different genre. Howard was born and raised in Texas. Spent most of his life in the town of Cross Plains, with sometimes spent nearby in Brownwood. A bookish and intellectual child, he was also a fan of boxing, which he did get into. He got into boxing in a lot of ways to help relieve himself of the anger he felt and a few other odds in it. And he was a pretty good boxer, actually. He wrote some pretty good boxing stories. I don't know if there's a collection of them. There should be, but I don't think there's a Delray collection of boxing stories. But he was a fairly decent boxer. People would challenge him, thinking, "Oh, this kid will be a pushover," because he didn't look like a boxer, but he fought like one. They found to their great horror the person they thought was a pushover was no pushover. Anyway, let's see. He fought boxing, eventually taking an amateur boxing, as I said. Spent some time in his late teens bodybuilding. From the age of 9, he longed to become a writer of adventure fiction, but he did not have real success until he was 23. Therefore, until his death by suicide, unfortunately, at age 30. His mom died. They were very close. It really, really did affect him. And there were probably other circumstances that led to his taking his own life. And he was a very complicated man. He kept a lot of things inside. He took up boxing to relieve himself of those stresses by beating the pulp out of things and people. Howard's writings were published in a wide selection of magazines, weird tales, just like H.P. Lovecraft, journals and newspapers, and he became a proficient in several subgenres. His greatest success occurred after his death. This is true. This is what happens with most writers. Although a Conan novel was initially published in 1934, Howard's stories were never collected during his lifetime. The main outlet for his stories was weird tales, where Howard created Conan the Barbarian. Not to be confused with the movies, which are not even close. They're fun to watch, but they're not. That's not Conan. Conan was not an idiot. Was not a mindless brute. He had a brain in his head, and he used it. For Howard created Conan the Barbarian, with Conan and his other heroes, Howard helped fashion the genre now known as sword and sorcery. Spawning, many imitators, or I guess it is spawning many imitators, giving him a large range of influence in the fantasy field. Howard remains a highly read author. Probably in the genre he wrote in, I think most people would have no clue. If you say, he wrote Conan, then they would probably know who he is. And even then, I'm not sure. But then it's an age. Howard remains a highly read author, as I said, with his best work still reprinted, and is one of the best-selling fantasy writers of all time. Howard's suicide and the circumstances surrounding it has led to speculation about his mental health. He was not a happy person. He really wasn't. He really did struggle with his writing. He struggled with dealing with family issues. He was a human being. He had problems. He really had a lot of internal problems. He fought a lot of internal battles. And this biography does a pretty good job. This is probably the best biography you can get, Mr. Howard. I think it is. Michael K. Vaughan said so. And Michael does not lie to me. He amuses me to no end, but he never lies to me. His mother had been ill with tuberculosis her entire life. Upon learning she had entered a coma from which she was not expected to wake, he walked out to his parked car outside his kitchen window and shot himself in the head. While saying this, he died 80 hours later. It is sad, and of course it's sad. Someone killed himself, and he's he had a chance to be very successful. He just kept going. Mental issues and mental conflicts will drive a person to do certain things. And if you're real close to someone and a family member, yeah, you're going to have problems. But he was a good writer. I mean, let's see. I did that already. I mean, during Howard's youth, his parents' relationship began to break down. Howard's family had problems with money, which might have been exasperated by Isaac Howard's investing and get-rich schemes. Hester Howard, his mom, meanwhile came to believe she had married below herself. There was a lot of problems in this family. And his father was very, very pushy. His father didn't really understand his writing life and what he wanted to be a writer, and really kept pushing for his son to get a real job, which he did. He did try to get real jobs. It's just writing was what he wanted to do. Come on. This is Texas, people. This is during the 1920s and 30s, and you know what was happening during that time. And his writing does have a lot of, we're going to say, triggering issues of this day and age anyway. Back then it was what life was. Okay? There was lynching, there was rioting, there was killing people, there was anything you could think of and you want to think of in the 1920s and 30s. There was discrimination, there was racism, there was this, that, and the other. And yeah, Robert E. Howard was a man of his time. He was also a very good writer. He was also very good at what he did. He liked what he did. For the most part, he did enjoy writing his stories. He liked creating Conan. If you read the Conan stories in order, you'll notice that the chronology is out of order, and that is how he wrote them. He did not write the Conan stories in order. So if you find them in order, you're reading the wrong edition. Let's see. Sports boxing became a passionate preoccupation. At the time, boxing was the most popular sport in the country, with the cultural influence far excessive than what it is today. He wrote about everything. He really got into his Conan stories. He created his own world on all his tales. He created his own world. Say what you want about his personal life. He was a creative genius. He knew what he wanted to do and what he was trying to do. The pulp fiction, the pulp writers, the pulp publications, they liked his work. Not always. Sometimes they wanted him to rewrite a few things, and he said no. If I remember correctly. There wasn't read the book, but he said no, I'm not rewriting it. No, I wrote it as I'm writing it. It's going to stay that way. At 15, Howard first sampled pulp magazines, especially Adventure, and it starred Talbot Mundy and Harold Lamb. Harold Lamb, I have one of his books. I have the one he did on Cyrus the Great. He's actually a pretty good writer. He's a pretty good historian. He became a correspondent with H.P. Lovecraft. They never met, but their letters are out there somewhere. He became a correspondent with H.P. Lovecraft. They wrote back and forth, debated writing, plot ideas, this, that, and the other life. It was an interesting correspondence. He graduated high school in 1923, moved back to Cross Plains. On his return to his hometown, he engaged in a self-created regimen of exercise, including cutting down oak trees and chopping them into firewood every day, lifting weights, punching a bag, springing exercises, eventually building himself from a skinny teenager into a more muscular, burly fellow. That burly fellow. And he did like to drink. After all, he was from Texas. Howard spent his late teens working at odd jobs around cross planes, all which he hated. I can understand that. Let's see. He took a stenograph course at Howard Payne College. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Well, he sold a short story, The Caveman, tale titled Spear and Fang in the Caveman. A short story, sorry. Told a short caveman tale titled The Spear and the Fang, which netted him a grand sum of $16. Okay, that's fine. Back then, that was a lot of money. A weird tale. I'm skipping a lot. Wait, I don't want to continue. I don't want to just read stuff. I mean, the best editions of his work are in these books. In the, if I get it right, Del Rey editions. Yes, the outside Del Rey editions. I mean, he wrote horror stories, which I like his horror stories more than I like his comic stories. I'm sorry, Michael. I'm sorry. I apologize for my deviation from liking that stuff. He wrote Solomon Kane. He created the original Red Sonja character, and don't see the movie because that's also crap. But he created Red Sonja, Solomon Kane, Bram McMore. He wrote boxing stories. My point is, it is his birthday today, or he would have been 119. So I figured I should do at least a short little video recommending this book. I mean, this book really does talk about his life. It gets inside of his head. It gets inside of his life, his personal life. And it talks about his ups and downs, and his trials and tribulations. It is a good biography of a very troubled but very talented writer who did create the Sword of the Sorcery genre, who was probably the best pulp writer there was. He was interesting. Not all writers are interesting. He didn't live a very long life, which is unfortunate. But he was interesting, but he was troubled. He was a man of his time. Yes, he used a lot of words we shouldn't use this day and age because they're all so sensitive to everything. Well, he was a man of his time. He was trying to create. I'm not going to debate that now. I'm just going to say he was a man of his time. He wrote like the person he was. He wasn't perfect. He is. A writer is. But what he created lasted. Think about it. People are still reading some of his stories. I mean, they made a terrible movie of Solomon Kane, but still, he does exist. He wrote, what I've said, I do like his horror. He wrote some very good, creepy horror stories. He really did. They are some good ones. I mean, I've read a few of these already. I do like this book. I do need to get the other ones. I mean, I like his werewolf stories. I like his, what's it called? Let's see. Those horror is pretty good. I didn't read these in order, so I have to. Oh, The Pigeons from Hell. That's a very good story. He did like it. But yeah, he was. He's not my favorite author. I would not put him on my top 10, but I certainly would put him on my list of writers who are very worth the effort, who are very influential, other writers who are worth reading because they are interesting. What they wrote is interesting. There are pictures in here, but this book is so stiff and fragile, I'm ready to break. But it does talk about a lot of his. It does talk about his life. Despite his 30-year life, that's a pretty big book, and it really does delve into a lot of his inner life, a lot of what he had to put up with, and a lot of the frustrations, why he got into boxing, and he actually liked boxing. His boxing stories are not bad. So I'm told. I'm sure they're not bad. I don't think there is a Del Rey in his boxing stories. There probably is. But anyway. But I figured it is his birthday today. And I should say something, He is a fan favorite of some people around here. If you really do want to learn far more than I could ever teach you about Robert E. Howard, yes, I will tell you on where you need to go on the YouTube channel. Because the man, he makes like the claim that he doesn't know a whole lot, but he knows a lot more than he claims. He's a lot better talker and a lot better speaker on the subject of his favorite author. I'm a rambling lunatic, but I recommend it. I recommend his YouTube channel because it's far more educational than what I've done for the last 15 and a half minutes. But, you know, I'm trying to improve my channel. Trying to improve it. I'm trying to find one that has better pictures. I mean, there's a list of everything. The Coming of Conan the Barbarian, The Savage Tales of Solomon Kane, The Bloody Crown of Conan, Bran Nakmor, The Last King, Conquering Sword of Conan, Called, Called, Exile of Atlantis, The Best of Robert E. Howard, Crimson Shadows, Volume 1, Best of Robert E. Howard, Volume 2, from Lands, The Horror Stories of Robert E. Howard, More Action, Other Desert Adventures, Sword Woman, and Other Historical Adventures, which probably has French on yet. But anyway, the movie is not good. I do mean the one with Virginia Olsen in it. I don't think I've seen any other one. Anyway, I would read Robert Howard's biography. I would read the Conan stories. I would definitely invest in finding these Del Rey books, like these kind of things, sword and sorcery kind of stuff. It is fun. I mean, I don't know. I sometimes think that I don't know if he was the greatest fiction writer, but he certainly is one of the most well known. Certainly is one of the most well known. Anyway, what's happening? Well, I'm going to try to do another video on that hour, so maybe 30 minutes. Thank you for watching. Thank you for like, share, comment, subscribe. Bright, that's okay. I'd rather it be bright, nice, and clear. That's good. Well, later. Behave yourselves, people. You know I'm not. Later.